What's up guys, T-Party Percy here and welcome back to a new video. In this video about Lost Ark, we're gonna talk about Season 2 gearing. I know we're gonna get soon Season 2 in Lost Ark Russian version, and I'm pretty sure once we get a EUNA release, it will start with Season 2. That's why I'm gonna update my previous Season 1 gearing guide with this new Season 2 gearing guide. I will briefly mention all the contents which will provide you with gear related upgrade materials or gear materials, and then I'm gonna explain how the gearing process works and how to reach higher tiers and sub tiers. But I'm gonna focus only on armor and weapon. I won't talk about accessories or any other things which will be required to min-max your char. For everything else I will make a separate min-maxing video or / gearing video. Now, all the links I'm gonna use here, all the stuff I'm gonna mention, if it's needed, I will link those sources down below in the video description. And I'm gonna use this Lost Ark Mail RU provided website or guide to show you guys how it works. I don't want to show you guys flashy videos or stuff like that. Just focus on what is needed. I will try to keep it as short as possible, and I hope it will be at the end of the day helpful and useful. Now, where do you get gear related materials and upgrade materials? As mentioned, I will keep it short. I will make separate videos for each of those contents later, otherwise this video is going to take 30 minutes. So gear related mats can be obtained from Chaos Dungeon. That's your main source for gear at the early stages and for materials. And then you have the Guardian raids, then you have the Cube, Boss Rush, and of course the Abyss raid and Abyss dungeons. There are some minor contents which will provide you also with upgrade materials, but once again you should focus on the major content first, and then if you have some time left you can do those small things to get some additional materials. Now let's focus on the main subject of this video, which is gear. Before I go into how you progress gear wise, I have to explain to you guys how gear works in Season 2. First of all, you need to know that Season 2 has a unified way to progress between tiers. So I will use Tier 1 as an example, but you can apply the same methods also to Tier 2 and Tier 3. Let's talk about two important things in Lost Ark regarding gear. It also goes for weapons: quality and rarity. I'm gonna call this here quality. It goes from 0, which is trash quality, to 100, and then we have the rarity, which goes from blue to purple to orange and to red. To understand the whole concept easier, I will start with explaining the rarity. Usually you start every sub tier with a blue rarity gear from Chaos Dungeon most of the time, and then you work your way up to the artifact rarity gear, and once you reach a certain item level with that or enchantment level with that, you will be able to progress to the next tier. Now rarity increases, like if you compare a blue with a purple or a purple with a legendary one, it will increase overall the stats and the range. So as you can see, the purple gear has fixed stats and variable stats. Let's focus on the fixed stats first. Those fixed stats will be the same for all the purple gears of the same tier or / sub tier. So if you compare a purple gear from Abyss dungeon with the purple gear from a Chaos dungeon of the same sub tier, they will have both the same numbers on those first stats. Those are usually your main damage stat and then HP. But once you have a higher rarity gear, like a legendary one, they will have higher base stats. And of course, if you compare a legendary one with the artifact one, I know this order is kind of weird. It's that from purple to legendary and then to artifact, you'll see their base stats are even higher. So there's no RNG involved in this one. Now, we have to pay attention to the variable one. For all the armor parts, it doesn't matter if it's, pants, gloves and so on, they have 3 variable stats, which are the defense related stats and stamina. And the weapon has only one range or RNG stat here, which is influenced by the quality. That is the weapon damage or the damage stat. Now, for the second variable RNG stat, you have to compare or count in the quality of the item. I'm gonna simplify it a little bit so that you guys can understand a little bit better. So assume this purple gear can give you defense from 1 to 70 depending on the quality. If you compare it with the legendary gear of same tier, it will be able to give you defense in range from 50 to 120. So the rarity decides the range of the RNG stats, and the quality decides how high those stats will be in that range. Back to the simplified version, if a purple gear can give you 1 to 70 defense and it has 0 quality, then it's gonna give you 1 or 2 defense only. If it has 100 quality, it will give you 70 defense. And the quality is RNG. So if you get a gear dropped or if you craft the gear, it will be RNG how much quality it will have. And that's the reason why the artifact gear here has the same amount of defense stat like the legendary one, even if it's a higher rarity. Reason for it? Exactly, the quality. The legendary one, even though it's lower rarity, it has a higher quality, so it is more towards the upper range. And this legendary one has lower quality. That is why this number is actually lower. We have also the same thing on a tier 2. So I'm gonna explain once again everything on tier 1, but it also applies for tier 2 and tier 3 later. So if you compare the tier 2, this time it's the right order, by the way, purple, orange, and then red. As you can see, the fixed stats steadily improve. It doesn't matter what quality you have. Purple always have worse quality than legendary, and legendary always has worse quality than artifact. But once again, look at those numbers here. As you can see, the legendary has 303 defense, and suddenly the artifact gives you 285, which means the higher quality one will gonna give you higher substats. But in most cases, you will always try to go for the higher rarity one, even if the quality is a little bit lower and you get here a little bit lower substats. Most of the time, especially because of the main stat, it is worth to go for the higher rarity. Okay, now I hope you understood what the difference between rarity and quality is and how they interact with each other. Once again, you can apply the same things towards weapon, and that is more important for weapons. You can see here 2 weapons of the same rarity, but this one has 93 quality, which is insane, and this one only has 49. And you can see the numbers here. The 49 quality one only gives you 9%, 10% additional damage, and the 93 one gives you 14.3% additional damage, which is a lot. Now let's talk about gear progression. I know it might look overwhelming and confusing to see, oh my god, so many gears in one tier and just tier 1. I will be lost. Don't worry guys, I will try to explain it, and at the end of the day you will most likely know what to do, or hopefully you will know what to do. Now, before we talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, as mentioned, it will be similar. If I explain you how to progress in tier 1, you will know how to progress in tier 2 and so on. You need to know that each tier has 3 sub-tiers, and if you don't know which sub-tier is this gear, it's easy. As you can see, all those gears here start with 302 item level, and they belong to the first sub-tier. You can call it tier 1.1 in this case, and then we have the 340 here in tier 1. Those belong to the second sub-tier, so tier 1.2. And of course, before you move into the next tier, so to tier 2, you will have to go towards tier 1.3. Each tier usually starts, as I mentioned earlier, with chaos gear, the blue chaos gear. And some of you might ask, Percy, why should I go for the purple gear if I have already a blue gear which can go for the same range? As you can see, this blue gear has 302 item level. It starts with 302 item level, and you can upgrade it to up to 430, which you won't do usually, because before that you can already go for the next sub tier. But this purple one here gives you the same range. Why should you do that? There are 2 reasons why you should do that. First one I already explained. The rarity increases the stats, and usually you will also get set effects, better set effects on higher rarity gear. So you won't have access right from the beginning to the purple gear. You have to craft it one by one by doing Abyss Dungeon. It is limited per week, and you can craft up to 2 or 3 per week if you're lucky. But blue gear, you can get it pretty easily. Once you get enough mats to craft the purple gear of the same tier, don't be afraid, craft it, because you can transfer the enchantment of a blue gear over to the purple gear without losing any enchantments. This might be new for people who played other MMORPGs. To make it short, imagine you have a blue glove from a chaos gear and you upgraded it to +6. If you transfer the +6 enchantment to a gear of the same sub tier, which means everything which starts with the same item level and ends with the same level, you won't lose anything. So you won't have a chance to fail, you won't have a chance to break your item. It will transfer 1 to 1. The only bad thing which is going to happen is the old gear will get destroyed, but it is guaranteed that you can transfer the +6, in this case from your blue gloves, into the +6 of your newly crafted Abyss Dungeon purple gloves, and enjoy the set effects of the Abyss Dungeon once you'll have multiple pieces of it. So don't worry about that. Now, this is the most important number you have to memorize, which is the +15. +15 is the magic number in Season 2, which once you reach that +15 enchantment level on all your gear, you will be able to go to the next sub tier, or once you're on the last sub tier, you will be able to progress towards the next tier. Before you guys ask that, Percy, should I upgrade more than +15? You can do that. There are multiple reasons why you should do that. For example, if you sell bus runs, so if you want to carry people and you want them to pay gold for you carrying them, then you need to have obviously stronger gear, so you can go for that. Or if you want to see those juicy glow effects on your weapons and armor once you reach certain higher enchantment levels, you can go for that. But other than that, I wouldn't really recommend to do so. You know, after +15, every step has a lower chance to succeed, and it will be more and more difficult. You will fail more often, you will lose more materials to reach higher enchantment level. Once you have all your tier 1.1 gear on +15, you will have enough item level to unlock tier 1.2 Chaos Dungeon, which will drop you the first tier 1.2 gear, which will start with 340 and you can upgrade it up to 575. Same goes for all the other gear parts which belongs to the same tier, in this case 1.2. Now I hope you still remember that transferring between sub tier doesn't lead to lose of enchantment, so you can always transfer 1 to 1. That's not the case anymore for transferring or succeeding your enchantment to a gear of higher sub tier. So if you just unlocked tier 1.2 and got finally the gear parts from 1.2, you should already have tier 1.1 on at least +15, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do the tier 1.2 content and get the gear. Now you can transfer those enchantments onto your +1.2 gear. The tricky part here is it won't transfer 1 to 1. You will always lose 9 enchantment levels. As an example again, if you have the gloves, which are +15 and belongs to tier 1.1, and you just got the tier 1.2 gloves, which are also purple, and you want to transfer it over to your new tier 1.2 gloves, it won't be +15. It will always succeed, but it will be +6. Because you will always lose 9 enchantment level if you transfer from one sub tier to another sub tier. So all your +15 gear, once you transfer it over to tier 1.2, will be +6. So keep in mind, +15 is the magic number. Hopefully I don't have to explain it again and again. Now I hope you understood everything up to this point, because everything else what I'm gonna explain the rest of the video will be easy to understand because it will be pretty similar. So once you reach tier 1.2, most of your gear, once you transfer it, will be +6 or higher if you whaled. And all you need to do is progress through the content, maybe also transfer your +6, +7 or higher to a higher rarity gear because they have higher base stats and better set effects. And once again, try to reach +15. Don't forget, transferring between the same tier or sub-tier won't lead to any lose of enchantment. So if you transfer the +6 from this part, from the 340 gear to a legendary 340 gear, it will be still +6. You won't lose anything there. Now, once you reach the +15 mark on the tier 1.2 gear, you will be able to do the Chaos Dungeon, which will be able to provide you with gear for the last sub-tier of tier 1, so tier 1.3. And once you have that gear on +15, so don't forget transferring from tier 1.2 to 1.3 +15 to that one will also lead to 9 enchantment level loss, so it will be +6. And once you upgrade back to +15, you will be able to transfer it to the next main tier, which is tier 2. In this case, you won't lose 9 enchantment levels. Nope, you will lose 15 enchantment levels. So to sum it up, if you transfer between same tier or sub-tier of gear, you won't lose any enchantment. If you transfer between sub-tiers, like from 1.1 to 1.2 or from 1.2 to 1.3, you will lose 9 enchantment levels. And if you transfer from one main tier, tier 1, in this case tier 1.3, to tier 2.1, you will lose 15 enchantment level. And here is the disadvantage of going further than 15, even easier to spot, because if you are +15 on the last tier 1.3 and transfer it to tier 2.1, it will be +0. If you are +16, it will be +1. I don't need to throw numbers here in, but you should know getting a gear from 15 to 17 or higher gonna cost way more mats than getting your gear from +0 to +1 or to +2. And in addition to that, compared to season 1, the difference between a +15 free-to-play player and a whale who has it on +20 or higher is not that huge like it used to be in season 1, where someone who had +20 could easily one-shot multiple people and at the same time was unkillable. In season 2, the benefits of reaching higher enchantment level after +15 are small. There are still some benefits there. Gear still matters, and the item level still matters, and the enchantment level still matters. But the gap between the free-to-play or hardcore player and the whales, the difference is way smaller than compared to season 1, which is a great change, especially for an MMORPG, especially for the free-to-play players. So yeah, that's it finally. I hope I was able to help you a little bit and you're a little bit less confused regarding gear. And I will try to make different videos for the other contents once we get season 2 on the Russian servers. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day. Bye bye, your Tea Party Percy.